I can't see any of you, so you're naked in my mind. Don't you kind of feel like we're at prom? Just saying, I love it. So I'm not going to MC tonight because we brought in a diva to do this. So let me tell you about this woman. We have the absolute privilege of being led through an extraordinary evening by a woman who embodies vitality, courage, and contagious charisma. She first captured the world's attention as a celebrated actress, model, and television personality, lighting up the screens in the UK and beyond. Many of you will recognize her from her breakout role in Hollyoaks, and her glamorous years in the spotlight as part of Britain's iconic social scene. But Davinia Taylor is far more than a familiar and gorgeous face. She is a trailblazer who has transformed her own life and is now changing countless others. After overcoming her own battles with addiction and chronic health challenges, Davinia became a fierce advocate for metabolic health, nervous system regulation, and empowered living. She has used her platform to share practical, science-backed strategies for reclaiming vitality, breaking free from destructive patterns, and thriving in body, mind, and spirit. She's a best-selling author, wellness thought leader, and global spokesperson for living metabolically aligned. With her trademark humor, authenticity, and radiant energy, she's inspiring a movement that reaches far beyond celebrity into real, lasting health transformation. All the way from London town, it is a joy and an honor to have her at as our MC tonight. Please join me in welcoming this divine, feminine power, Davinia Taylor.
Hi. Oh, no. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. I must say, I first met Naisha. We were at a health conference in the Maldives on this tiny island, and I heard her speak, and I met Cindy as well, and I literally stalked them on this tiny island until I got their number, and they are now my friends. So it was a little bit illegal, but anyway, but thanks for having me tonight. And yeah, my job is, I'm not a practitioner. I mean, my mum died of cancer, so, you know, we've all been touched by this horrific, this disease, really. But I'd like you to know that I've got this really powerful Instagram and Facebook, and people actually listen to me just because I share the truth, and I can't be bought. You know, I'm not one of those typical Instagrammers, but please use me as a conduit. I've got Rebecca here, and we're going to be filming tomorrow. So if you've got a story of survival you want to tell us, if you're treating some people, if you've had some sort of breakthrough, we've got to get the word out. So grab me, I will put it on my social media, and I will spread the word everywhere. So use me as a conduit. Thank you very much. Okay, right. Glasses on. So if anyone knows how to fix my eyes, please let me know, because this is really annoying me. Okay, back to business. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Butterfly Ball. So tonight we gather not just for a gala, but for a movement. One rooted in hope, transformation, and the belief that healing is possible when we nurture the terrain of body and soul. The butterfly has long been a symbol of metamorphosis, of what happens when struggle gives way to strength, and when something beautiful emerges from what once seemed impossible. That symbol reflects so much of what we honor here tonight: the courage of patients who faced unimaginable challenges, the compassion of practitioners and advocates guiding them, and the groundbreaking research making new possibilities real. This evening is about celebrating that journey, from illness to empowerment, from uncertainty to purpose, and ensuring that no one walks that path alone. Your presence here supports the work of the Metabolic Terrain Institute of Health, helping provide patient treatment grants and building a future where everyone has access to care that restores, not just treats. So as we share a meal, listen to stories of resilience, and dance beneath the desert sky, may we remember what the butterfly teaches us. That even in times of darkness, transformation is possible, and together we can help the countless others take flight. Enjoy your meal, everybody. And I believe we've got a message from Brian Johnson coming up.
Hi, this is Brian Johnson. I'm the founder of Heroic and the author of a book called Arete, which is all about activating the best version of yourself, especially in the face of life's greatest challenges. It's an honor to be part of this evening with you, even if I'm not there in person. When my brother was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, I did what many of you have probably done. I started asking questions, reading, searching. I called a few people I trust and I asked, what should I be reading right now? And when I asked my friend Ben Greenfield, he didn't hesitate. He said, read The Metabolic Approach to Cancer and follow it to the T. So I got the book and I did. It was the first book I read after the diagnosis, and it became our playbook. What struck me immediately was how clear it was, and how calm, and how different from what most people are handed when they walk into a hospital. It wasn't offering a miracle, it was offering agency. It gave us a new frame, that cancer isn't just a tumor to be attacked. It's a metabolic, environmental, and emotional disease. And the path forward is to treat the terrain, not just the tumor. Now that insight changed everything for us. We were blessed to have Naisha's support throughout the process. And I can tell you from personal experience, she is exactly who you hope she'll be. Grounded, wise, fierce, compassionate, an angel, truly. But as she often says, and as many of you know, too many people are dying in the waiting room, trying to get access to her care and her team. And that's why this night matters, because this approach works and it needs to reach more people faster. At Heroic, our work is about helping people activate their potential, moment to moment to moment. We built the platform to help people show up as the best, most heroic version of themselves, not in ideal circumstances per se, but in the hardest ones. In my book, Arete, I talk about 8 core virtues that fuel that process. And when I think about this community and the work Naisha's doing and the families navigating cancer right now, these are the virtues I see everywhere. Wisdom, to discern what truly matters. Discipline, to do the hard things consistently. Love, to stay open, grounded, and connected. Courage, to move forward in the face of fear. Gratitude, to appreciate what's still good. Hope, not blind optimism, but grounded belief. Curiosity, to keep asking and learning. Zest, to bring energy into life, even in hard times. Now, these aren't abstract ideas. They're tools. They're anchors. They're the very things that carry people through the hardest seasons of their lives. So when I read The Metabolic Approach to Cancer, I wasn't just reading about a medical model. I was reading a living, breathing expression of these virtues. And I kept thinking, how do more people get access to this? Because the truth is, most don't. And the consequence of that is tragic, not just emotionally, but clinically. Too many lives are cut short simply because they never heard this story, never got this map, never had a chance to follow it. And that's what tonight is about changing. So here's the invitation. If you're in the middle of your own cancer journey or walking alongside someone who is, please know this. There is hope. Not a vague, wishful kind of hope, but a grounded, evidence-informed, soul-supported kind of hope. And if you're here because you care and want to help, thank you. You're part of something that is shifting the way the world thinks about cancer and treats it. Not through theory, but through real human care. We don't need to wait for another research breakthrough to know this approach works. We need more access, more support, more trained providers, more people who can say yes when someone reaches out for help. And that's what you're making possible tonight. So thank you for showing up. Let's keep moving this mission forward. Let's treat the terrain. Let's expand access, and let's do it heroically. With love and Arete, thank you.
Wow, you're an angel, no less. You best be on your best behavior tonight. Brian has generously donated his books. They're not on the table, but if you want to grab one on your way out, it's a reminder how to live heroically. Okay, guys, enjoy your meal. I'll be back in about half an hour, and enjoy the conversation as well. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, sorry to interrupt your meal. And by the way, what a fantastic meal they've provided. I must say, this hotel has gone over and beyond, probably I'd imagine the most high maintenance requests ever from any sort of charity. So congratulations to the hotel. This is a personal friend of mine. I didn't realize John Frieda met Naisha, and when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, the universe, how worlds collide. But I just want to big John up, actually. We're honored to present a message from John Frieda, a world-renowned hairstylist, entrepreneur, and philanthropist, whose name you may recognize from the global brand he created. But tonight, John shares far more than a personal story. This is his own journey with cancer.
Hello, everybody. John Frieda here, and I'm very sorry that I can't be with you in person at the Butterfly Ball, which I'm sure is an incredible event. Unfortunately, I am stuck on the other side of the ocean, so was not able to be there in person. But I'm there virtually, so I guess that's better than nothing. I want to talk to you and share with you my experiences of having the incredible good fortune of meeting and working with the wonderful Dr. Naisha Winter and her incredible team. So my journey with cancer began almost 4 years ago. I was diagnosed with, it was a very small tumor that was discovered on the outside of my bladder. I had something called a diverticula, which is more commonly found outside the colon, but of course me wanting to be different, I had to have mine on the outside of the bladder. So having diverticulars, I believe, on the outside of the bladder is less common. And it was discovered randomly that inside this diverticula was a very small tumor. My oncologist and my doctors in London at the time, who were considered, and I'm sure are, some of the top oncologists in the world, recommended that I go for surgery to remove the diverticula, which I did. Unfortunately, after that surgery, it was discovered that the cancer had spread into my lymph nodes in the abdomen. So of course, that had now become a much more serious issue to deal with. I then was recommended by my oncologist to do the typical sort of standard of care, which is chemotherapy with gemcitabine and cisplatin, which were quite sort of, hardcore chemo drugs. I went through a series of chemo. It was pretty brutal. Of course, as we know, chemo, apart from destroying the cancer, also destroys one's immune system. So that was quite difficult. It did work, but then of course the cancer came back again. I then went off to Turkey and did some treatment in Istanbul with the hypothermia oncology clinic. Again, it pushed things back, but again, it came back. Then I did a trial in the UK with a new chemotherapy drug called enfortumab vedotin. I did 4 rounds of that. Didn't really have any real side effects, but then after the 4th one, or the 5th one, I can't remember which, it really knocked me for 6, and I was in bed for 2 weeks and really felt quite awful. So they took me off that trial. And fortunately, a point during this whole process, I was introduced to nature. And for the first time, I began to understand that there was another approach to cancer healing called the metabolic approach. And thanks to being able to work with nature, I changed a lot of the way I was dealing with my cancer, in terms of diet, in terms of supplements, taking, examining my metabolism through blood tests, etc., etc., etc. And I have to say, the difference was quite incredible in how I felt. There's no question in my mind that this changing to this approach in support of my traditional, medical approach that my oncologists were telling me to do, I think certainly made a massive difference. In fact, when I was first diagnosed with my cancer, my oncologist said, with treatment, maybe we're looking at a life expectancy of at the most 2 years. Without treatment, I would give you 3, 6, maybe maximum 9 months. Here I am nearly 4 years later, and touch wood so far, doing very well. Last scan showed that my cancer is certainly, although it's still there, it's stable, not much progression. And I really do feel that is largely due to the fact that I have had Naisha alongside, guiding me, helping me, and her team. So I feel very fortunate for that. I think the work that MTIH is doing is quite extraordinary. I'm convinced, although of course I'm not a doctor, I'm no expert, but I'm absolutely convinced that Naisha and her team are pioneering what I would say is without question the future of medicine in the world. I think this integrative approach of doing the more traditional standard of care methods of healing disease is of course important. Science cannot be discounted, of course, and it's coming up with new breakthroughs all the time. But integrating that with building the immune system, keeping the body in good shape, keeping the body healthy is absolutely vital. And from my experience and what I know, Naisha and her team at MTIH are the people that are absolutely the pioneers of this new approach. I'm certain that this will be the future of medicine in the years to come. And of course, I think the work that Naisha is doing really, really needs to be supported. I have been happy and I'm very fortunate and privileged to be in a position where I can support the work, which I have done. I have helped with the funding of the laboratory, with the very fabulous Dr. El Saka, who is the research director at MTIH, and we have, Naisha has built this laboratory for him so he can and is creating, pioneering, patented new drugs that I'm sure are far more effective and really bespoke to the individual, which I think is the key to Naisha's work, is that, unlike standard of care where it's very much, one size fits all. If you've got cancer like I had, you get cisplatin and gemcitabine and that's it. There's no real recognition of diet, of other things that you're doing. When I asked my oncologist in London, I've heard that it's not a good idea to eat sugar, or vitamin C can be helpful. And the response I got was, well, no, there's no data that supports that. Eat what you want. And of course, I think we all know that that is not true. And I think what we eat is incredibly important. So all of the things that Nature is promoting through the metabolic approach is, in my view, essential. And I think I'm a living testimony to the fact that I think I'm much healthier and probably living much longer, and have the potential of continuing to live much longer, which I very much intend to do. I think the work that MTIH is doing is an essential part of that. So I cannot thank Nature and her team enough for the help that they've given me. I think anybody out there who wants to help progress this very, very important mission, I would strongly recommend, if you can and if you would like to support Nature's work. Obviously, being able to raise money to build the clinic and progress their work is essential. I think for the future of people with cancer, you couldn't be spending your money in a better way than supporting her work. So I would really endorse you to help in any way you can, if you can. I certainly would say that when I was first diagnosed and in the early months of my treatment, I was pretty despondent. I think, like most people are, you get that call from the doctor and you're told that you've got cancer, and it's like, your whole world collapses. Nothing is the same. All the things that you thought were important before are no longer important. And it's really tough. It's a tough thing to go through, as I'm sure many of you know. And meeting Nature really gave me hope, because I understood that, I can beat this. It doesn't have to be a death sentence. And if I follow these really sensible procedures, build my immune system, be positive in my outlook in life, keep myself super fit, constantly look at my bloods to make sure that I'm getting the right supplements, the right vitamins, etc., etc., etc. All of the things that are part of the approach, Nature's metabolic approach to healing cancer, really gave me massive hope, and still does. I really feel that with the support that I have got from Nation and team, I can go on living healthily for years to come. I mean, I can't guarantee that is the case, but I feel very positive about it, and I believe that I have the potential to do that, which was not the message I had from my traditional standard of care oncologist when I was first diagnosed. I mean, it all felt pretty hopeless, to be told, well, you've got the maximum life capacity span of maybe 2 years with treatment, is not a great thing to hear. And yet here I am 4 years later, thanks to very large part, thanks to the work that I've done with Nation. And I'm very hopeful. And I think being hopeful is so important to your healing process. And I think that's what Nature provides, as well as really, positive, scientifically proven treatments, medical care, everything else. There is a way to help you go on living a healthy life. Honestly, right now, I've never felt healthier. I work out every day. I feel almost fitter and in better shape than I've ever felt in my life. And yet I've had cancer for 4 years. So that surely attests to something that is really working. So all I can tell you is please support Naisha in the work she's doing. I think this is the future of healing cancer, as I've said. And I think the more we support Naisha's work, the quicker we will be able to help humanity in dealing with this really, really obstinate disease, which, in spite of all of the huge pharmaceutical companies spending trillions of dollars, as we all know, it isn't really working, and it isn't solving the problem. And cancer is getting worse and, affecting more and more people. So, thank you, Naisha. You're amazing. Carry on the good work. Please, everybody support her in any way you can. And again, I'm sorry I'm not there in person, but I hope you are all having a fabulous time at the Butterfly Ball. And I wish you all the very, very best. And I send my love to you all. And enjoy the rest of your time there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John, and I know he has been very, very generous, and as I'm British, we don't talk about money. Okay, anyway, so it's time for desserts, and I'm assuming it's low sugar, but enjoy desserts, enjoy the chat, and I think we've all had the same conversation, how ridiculous is standard of care when it comes to diet. So enjoy the healthy food.
How's everyone doing with their meals? First of all, this was really cool because I had not seen any of these videos, but I will tell you, John Frieda, that is exactly how he always is, and he makes me so happy. That was so beautiful. So, the food. What did everybody think? Give a big shout out to Chef Ryan, who absolutely was so patient with all of our demands. No gluten, no grains, no seed oils, no sugar. All has to be organic, local, regional, seasonal. I think he nailed it. But we also had We also had some special little treasures on all of our plates, which that was thanks to Bob Jones and Chef's Garden. Woo! Where are you, Bob? Where is he? I can't see anything. Oh, thank you. Beautiful and delicious. Yeah, I know. If you're ever going to plan an event, call me, and then we'll get our event team, who's been amazing, and our inner team, who's been amazing, because we made things happen that people said would never happen. This is a theme through this. All right. So I have something. I want to share something, because tonight we're doing something we've never done before at a conference we've never held before. And it feels deeply fitting that we gather here in Arizona, the very soil where this person's story began, to honor a man whose life's work has been to protect and restore the soil that sustains us all. I first heard Dr. Huber speak in 2017 at the Acres Conference. After reading his research for decades, I felt as though I was in the presence of greatness, and I still feel that today. His humility, brilliance, and heart moved me profoundly. That day, he used a metaphor that I will never forget, describing the effects of glyphosate on the soil as being like AIDS to the earth, a complete and utter devastation of its immune system. It brought me to tears then, and it still does now, knowing that he has been sounding this alarm courageously, even with threats and even attempts on his life, since the late 1960s. Dr. Huber, you are a scientist, a teacher, a whistleblower, and above all, a steward of truth and life. Your hard work, your steadfast integrity, and your service to both land and humanity have not gone unnoticed. It is my great, great honor to recognize you tonight as the very first recipient of what we hope will be many for years to come, with the Lifetime Achievement Award of honoring your extraordinary legacy and contributions to integrative health and science. In gratitude for you, your wisdom, your courage, and your unwavering commitment to the health of our soil, our food, and our future. Thanks, you guys. Will you say something?
Nasha and all of you, I'm grateful for the friendship and support that you've provided. Many thanks. Keep up the good work. We got a lot to do. Thanks.
Well, not a dry eye in the house, I believe. Whew, emotion. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is about stories. Stories of transformation, resilience, and that word again, hope. At the Metabolic Terrain Institute of Health, we believe that healing doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in community. When we care for the whole terrain of body, mind, and spirit, and when we lift one another up along the way. And tonight, we're launching something that captures that spirit perfectly, a movement called Champions for Change. This effort is all about helping more patients access life-changing care through MTIH's patient treatment grants. It's about ensuring that no family ever has to choose between financial survival and healing. Already a few extraordinary individuals have stepped forward to light the way. Our very first Champions for Change. People whose generosity and belief in this mission are creating the foundation for something much bigger. The first group we want to recognise is, am I saying this right? It's like Qatar, Daktar. That's our cancer genetics. Thank you. Whose groundbreaking work is advancing integrative oncology and early detection. Whose partnership tonight reflects their belief that innovation and compassion must go hand in hand. Datar has joined the Champions for Change with a $2,500 pledge. Thank you very much. And we are so pleased to have you with us this evening. Dr. Keisha Tate, VP of Business Development for Naturopathic and Integrative Practices. Chad Bonafido, United States Business Development. Thank you, Dr. Tate, Chad, and the entire Datar team for your ongoing partnership and support. I said that right, didn't I, in the end? Thank you. Another set of champions is Mary and Charlie Brown. Mary is a 4-time cancer thriver, 3-time ovarian and 1-time breast cancer, now celebrating 9 years with no evidence of the disease. Mary and Charlie Brown have pledged $5,000 towards these efforts. Mary found Naisha 13 years ago, 1 year after her original diagnosis, and she's never looked back. She shared these words with us tonight to read. Shall I read them out? Are you going to come up and read them out? Yeah? Yeah, I just thought a bit of a monologue from me, so come up, a different voice. Yeah.
Mary said, I am a 4-time cancer thriver, 3-time ovarian, 1-time breast cancer, currently 9 years NED. I found Naisha 13 years ago, 1 year after original diagnosis, and never looked back. I personally believe in both traditional medical care as well as naturopathic care, and feel so strongly that anyone willing to put in the hard work to live as a cancer thriver should have the opportunity. I was blessed to be able to afford the testing, supplements, alternative treatments involving mind, body, and spirit, which do add up, and also have a supportive husband that has been all in since the beginning.
Round of applause for him.
Many people cannot afford to choose this route for financial reasons. Therefore, it is my passion to help others be able to consider this option, and I appreciate that the Metabolic Terrain team is making a way. By the grace of God, guidance from Naisha and her team, and my current NP, Stacy Mulkey of Namaste Health Center, Durango, Colorado, I am still thriving, and I challenge each of you to consider helping others have the same opportunity. I want to thank you, Mary and Charlie, for your courage, faith, and generosity, and for reminding us why access to this kind of care must be possible for everyone. And if you want to make a donation to match the gifts of Datar and Mary and Charlie Brown, you can use the information on the screen. Next up, let's give a round of applause for Mary and Charlie. Love you guys. Thank you. The next person that I want to invite up to the stage is Sean Madden. Sean has pledged $10,000 in honor of his late wife, Kim Self.
You sprung it on me, did you? Wait, you're going to leave that for me, just in case. Hi, everyone. Wow, what a weekend. What a night. I don't know if anybody here knew Kim Self. Yeah. So, if you didn't know, Kim was diagnosed in 2019 after a venture to start a hemp farm. Ever since her beginnings of doing massage therapy and yoga practice and dealing with health challenges throughout her life, she was always committed to finding different ways of healing for everybody, not just for herself. I've met a few people around here. We got into this, if you've talked to Naisha or Steve, I knew Naisha and Steve before they even really met. I was with them the first night they kind of met. And actually Kim we would see Naisha, way before she even was diagnosed. I think I actually even saw Naisha one time too. It was for a growth that I've had for 20 years is still there, and guess what? I'm still okay. So, but after her diagnosis, she immediately went into find a way to heal and do better. She didn't trust standard of care early in the beginning, and so she immediately went into research mode. I think she did laser surgery in Long Island with Dr. Antonelli, which I don't even know if he's still around, and I don't know if anybody's doing that. She was diagnosed right before COVID, and I was actually talking to Don. COVID hit, and we were in New York, Canada, San Francisco, all over the place because, people are like, oh, it's COVID. I was like, it's cancer, a little bit bigger. But she went through Life Huge, she walked through Life Huge, and she immediately believed in the metabolic approach. She would definitely she would order books, or I don't know, maybe Naisha was even giving them to her. She met every standard of care practitioner and would be like, have you read this book? Oh, no, well, you should. And she really pushed the movement. And I'm really just want to say how grateful I am to be here, just to be a part of it, and the greatness. I'm talking to Don, and then all of a sudden he's getting this Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, there's so many wonderful people here doing so many beautiful things, and it's just really amazing to see. And I know that Kim is up there going like, how the heck are you on stage? I want to be the one, like, this is my deal. But, yeah, look at these pictures, he's gorgeous. But, I'm going to go to here. Anyway, she worked with Jade Robbins, Allison Gannett, used to make a lot. Is Allison around? She's not here. That's too bad. I made a lot of that, what's that stew? I don't know. I made a lot of that stew that she has in her cookbook. I still eat it. But she did it all. Ketogenic diet. I have an HBOT, mistletoe, hyperthermia, you name it. We tried it, and she really... she was diagnosed stage 3. She just passed last year, but those years, we were living full on. It was not, we weren't living in a state of living with disease. She was adamant she was not going to do chemo, and those last years, we were doing everything. We were traveling all over. We were with the boys. We were backpacking. There's pictures up there. And she would always say to herself, she'd get out of the cold plunge in the morning and just be like, there is no way that there can be cancer living in this body. I feel so good. And I think anybody who's known her knew her smile and how big she could just beam it out, and just the amount of light and life that was within her. So I'm really grateful to be here and to push the mission forward and donate to the cause in her name, and will continue to do everything I can. So thank you very much.
Sean, thank you so much for honouring Kim there. I think we can all agree that her legacy lives on, because she's ensuring that other families don't have to make that awful decision between financial ruin and health. Round of applause for Sean. Thank you. Okay, 2 more stories from champions whose leadership and generosity are helping drive this movement forward. First, we'll hear from Jan Ellison Bazuki, founder of Metabolic Mind, president of the Bazuki Group, and co-founder of the Coalition for Metabolic Health. Jan is helping build a future where metabolic health becomes a foundation for healing, hope, and lasting transformation. Please look at the screen.
I'm so delighted to join you today, even if only by video, as we gather for Metabolic Health Day. I so wish I could be there in person in Tucson to feel the energy and momentum in that room, as together we challenge decades of mainstream medical dogma that has led us not toward health, but to worldwide epidemics of physical and mental illness. My name is Jan Ellison Bazuki, and I speak with you today on behalf of myself and my husband, David Bazuki, the founder and CEO of Roblox, and on behalf of our family's philanthropic initiatives, which include Bazuki Group, Metabolic Mind, and our latest, the Coalition for Metabolic Health. I met Naisha years ago in a tiny town in the Swiss Alps at another metabolic health conference, which I'm sure many of you have attended, called Keto Live. We sat on the steps of a beautiful old Swiss hotel, and we shared our stories with each other, our stories of struggle and of health. And I knew right away we were kindred spirits. Our family's efforts are fully aligned with the work of Naisha and her team at the Metabolic Terrain Institute for Health. And that makes it a special pleasure for me to speak to you today. For both Naisha and me, and I am certain for most of you, this is a personal fight. Our movement will impact millions of lives, but it began for me with just one life, my son Matt's. My son's 5-year journey through the madness of mental health treatment in America is the spark that lit the fire that drives this mission for myself, my family, and our team of 20 who are dedicated to advancing the cause of metabolic health. Matt is the eldest of our 4 children. He grew up the beloved big brother to our 3 daughters and something of a golden child. He was a talented musician, an insatiable intellectual, an avid chess player, a fierce athlete, and a very loyal friend. At age 19, he went off to UC Berkeley to study electrical engineering and computer science at UC Berkeley. He joined a fraternity. He started using drugs and alcohol. He neglected his classes and began to struggle to meet academic demands for the first time in his life. His life started to unravel, and in March, he lost his mind to a manic psychosis that landed him in a lockdown psychiatric hospital at Stanford, forcefully medicated with powerful antipsychotics. The teachings of Eckhart Tolle about the power of now became ideas that would drive my son's manic psychotic delusions for years to come. That first hospitalization lasted 9 days and was followed by a diagnosis of type 1 bipolar disorder with psychotic features. Our son became so ill, he once fled a treatment center in Bend, Oregon, and hitchhiked to California, leaving his phone behind, catching a ride with a drunk driver who was pulled over in a high-speed chase. Once we lost track of him entirely. He went away from home and slept on the streets of Los Angeles for weeks until my husband finally was able to find him and admit him to a psychiatric hospital for a 4th and final time. All in all, he received treatment from more than 40 mental health care professionals and prescriptions for 29 different psychiatric medications, including 9 antipsychotics, ultimately declared to have treatment-resistant serious mental illness, which is essentially a lifelong sentence to disability, trauma, and likely an early death. I dedicated myself to his case. I talked to dozens of doctors. I went down Google rabbit holes long into the night. I dragged him through every conventional, experimental, and emerging treatment we could find, including a dozen stints in talk therapy, a very complex orthomolecular medicine protocol, and transcranial magnetic stimulation. Nothing, and I mean nothing, worked. Then we stumbled upon the work of Harvard psychiatrist Dr. Chris Palmer and the brain energy theory of mental illness. With Dr. Palmer's help, Matt started a medically supervised therapeutic ketogenic diet in January of 2021, styled on a form that had been used in epilepsy for more than 100 years. That March, instead of quadrupling his dose of antipsychotic to protect his sleep and fend off mania, he stayed on the maintenance dose without even a single hypomanic blip. By April, he was fully in remission, and I stopped tracking his progress in a spreadsheet that I've been keeping for 5 years because there was nothing notable to record. My family's journey underscores that metabolic dysfunction can lie at the root of so many conditions, from the obvious, diabetes, obesity, and epilepsy, to the not so obvious, serious mental illnesses like major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and even anorexia. Today, Matt is thriving. He graduated from college, he has a wonderful girlfriend, and he's been working full-time in tech for 3 years. So our family, 4 years ago, formally started a family foundation called Bazooki Group. A year later, we launched Metabolic Mind, our public-facing advocacy platform. We began directing our resources toward understanding this intersection of metabolic and mental health with a theory of change that includes advocacy, research, and clinical capacity building. To date, we've funded about 20 clinical trials and other research projects, which have begun to establish in the scientific literature a beachhead for the new field of metabolic psychiatry. We've invested in 6 companies to scale metabolic interventions for mental health, and we've created free continuing medical education courses to train practitioners that you can find on MyCME. Year to date, we've reached more than 5.8 million people across our social media channels, but there is so much more work to be done in mental health and beyond. Today, more than 90% of American adults are living with some form of metabolic dysfunction. As you know, an underlying driver of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, depression, and more. 6 in 10 adults have at least one chronic disease, and 4 in 10 are managing 2 or more. Rates of childhood insulin resistance and pediatric obesity are climbing at alarming rates, along with mental illness. For decades, we've treated chronic illness as if it were simply the cost of modern life. We built a healthcare system centered on managing symptoms rather than preventing disease. And as you all know, the truth is this: The vast majority of chronic illness is preventable, and much of it is reversible when we address the root cause, our metabolic health. Late last year, the topic of chronic disease finally reached the national stage, and we felt a call to broader action. So on September 4th, we launched the Coalition for Metabolic Health with a $50 million commitment from my family to tackle America's chronic disease epidemic. This coalition brings together leading researchers, clinicians, nonprofits, and patient advocates from across the country. Our mission is this: to put metabolic health at the center of America's fight against chronic disease. We aim to achieve this by aligning government policy with metabolic science, supporting independent research conducted in the service of people, not corporate profits, educating providers and policymakers, and integrating nutrition into lifestyle-based care, into everyday medical practice. We're committed to making routine metabolic assessments, like fasting insulin, along with proven interventions like carbohydrate reduction and ketogenic therapies, standard aspects of medical care. We believe this is fully possible, and not only possible, it's essential if we want to reverse the epidemic of chronic disease. This vision is one we share deeply with Dr. Naisha Winters and the Metabolic Terrain Institute of Health. Together, we're working to return health to all Americans by reimagining how we approach prevention and treatment. Whether in oncology, in primary care, or in community health, or in mental health, the principles are the same. When we address the terrain, our metabolism, we give the body and the mind the best chance to heal. To truly move the needle, we need to work together. We need a broad and diverse alliance that brings together science and policy, clinical practice and patient advocacy, philanthropy, and innovation. That is what our collective mission is, and that is what this day is about. It's about amplifying what so many of you have been doing for decades. It's about consolidating our power so that we can no longer be ignored. Every single person here has a role to play in igniting this mission. You can lend your voice, your expertise, your story, and your resources. You can help us move from the margins to the mainstream. Now is our moment. I am so proud to stand with the Metabolic Terrain Institute of Health as one of the inaugural champions for change. As part of this launch, our family has made its own financial commitment to support patient access and grants, and we invite you to do the same. Together, we can multiply the impact we have for the most in need patients and families. I truly believe we will look back on this conference, on this day, in this year, and say, this was when the movement ignited. This was the tipping point. This was when Americans and citizens around the world began to take their health back. Thank you, and I look forward to working alongside all of you as champions for change.
Wow, what a woman. And I must say, on a personal note, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and being in ketosis keeps me away from my nemesis, which is white wine. I tell you, I did my first 5 years not in ketosis, and then the rest, the last 12 in ketosis are in and out. And I'll tell you, it's a lot easier when you've got those ketones in your brain to say no to booze. Okay, so can I just also announce that, thank you. Can I also announce that Jan and the Bazooki Group are pledging $10,000 to the Champions for Change effort. And if you want to join them, you can make a donation pledge by using the information on that screen there. Okay, next we are going to hear from Sarah and Sean Casey, a couple whose love, faith and resilience through cancer have touched countless lives. Their story reminds us behind every diagnosis is a family fighting not only for health, but for hope.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean Casey. This is my wife Sarah Casey. We're thrilled to be with you guys today to share our story, our journey that Sarah went on along with Naisha that really helped us. So you was 2022, you were diagnosed with cancer. What do you take it from here?
Yeah, 2022, I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, and it's a scary time for anybody, and it's a very confusing time, but there were some truths that I knew for myself that I needed in this experience, and it was to have an integrative approach. And, thankfully, Sean just is a man of action, and once I got my diagnosis, he was just like dialing. Who do you know? And how can I connect? And so all roads led to Naisha and her reputation in that world, and thankfully we were able to connect.
Yeah, and I mean, we're thankful for Naisha too for guiding us right away. The care you had for us, Naisha, your kindness, the time that you took, and and helping Sarah and I too. It was a scary time. You just you hear that word and it ruffles your feathers, but. You kind of telling us, hey, everything's going to be okay. The body can heal itself. This is the protocol we're going to do. This is what we need to do. And I think
Here are the
hearing that from you,
practitioners.
here are the practitioners to help. And,
Yeah.
so kind of going down that road. Why don't you talk about, what you did that wasn't, we did some of the chemo and the radiation, but on top of that, we went after this thing. We really played offense. We took learning from Naisha that your body can heal. That you have everything that you need inside of you to get to this cancer. So
Yeah, I'm just so grateful that we had access to that and the guidance, and reading her book, and she recommended several other practitioners, and I read their books, and I went after every single angle that I possibly could, because like Sean said, is I wanted to play offense. I didn't want this to be someone else's story. I didn't want this to be my oncology side story. It was something that we needed to really bond together and do. And in addition to the protocols and the practitioners that Naisha connected me to, is thankfully I'm married to a mental performance coach, and so the mental resilience that we instilled, and the meeting of the buffalo and playing offense and keep going, it allowed me to, again, put trust in myself and put trust in you that we could get through this. And my body's, intuition and healing itself was so important. And I fully connected to that. And I fully believe that if this approach could be a wider spread, more, normal experience for people to access, that we would have a lot more favorable outcomes.
yeah, and the thought process of the buffalo is that out in the plains, we say Colorado and Montana, the storms come in, and if anyone knows, the buffalo, they herd up and they charge that storm. We felt like this was our storm. We wanted to have that thought process. How do we charge? What do we need to do? And that was getting into ketosis, taking your measurements every day, getting into the hyperbaric chamber 3 to 4 days a week, getting in front of the biocharger, getting the vitamin C drips, all those things. That was our charge in the storm. That was us playing offense. That was Sarah going after it. And that was what Naisha gave us the game plan. And then we were able to say, okay, what do we do now? And then getting the routines and the protocols together. So, without Naisha's care, without Naisha showing us what we needed to do, man, we feel like, you helped save Sarah's life. It's been a few years since you've been cancer free. And
I'm still doing everything. I mean, I see this as more of a lifestyle change than anything. Like, I could never go back to what I was before, because I know better now, and it's been fun too for me now, being healthier and stronger than I've ever been in my entire life, but also to see the impact on my family. We've all kind of gone down this journey together, and it's like, how can we build more, health resilience, but also emotional resilience? And it's been, a really positive experience that came from a very dark time, potentially dark time.
Well, and for what you guys are doing in Naisha, everything that you're doing for Champions for Change, we think it's incredible, and we want to just say thank you for everything you did for us, and we want to pledge $10,000 to Champions for Change and get the money up and make sure that we continue to impact people as we move forward, and have the vision of being able to get this treatment for everybody, and that everyone can get the information that we can ultimately change lives. So thank you so much for all you did for us, for Sarah, for our family, and we're grateful, and we just want to say thanks again, Naisha, and let's do this. Let's all charge these storms that we all seem to face. But we can do it with the power of our bodies and the knowledge from Naisha to move the needle. So thanks again, guys. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you, Sarah and Sean. I mean, you can just spot a sportsman, can't you? They're never off, are they? I mean, I'm English and I can tell he was a big deal just by listening to him. I mean, look at him. He looks like a legend. Okay, so the gifts you've heard about tonight from Mary, Charlie, Jan, Sarah, Sean, and Sean Madden over there, and the Datar Cancer Genetics. These champions have pledged a combined $37,500, creating a matching pool that will double every gift made tonight and through to the end of the year. That means that every dollar you give becomes $2. So every act of generosity goes twice as far. Together, we can reach our goal of £75,000, enough to fund 75 patient treatment grants. That's 75 families who won't have to face cancer alone. So tonight, we invite you, our guests, our partners, our friends, to join them. Become a champion for change yourself. Give what feels meaningful to you, knowing that your gift will be matched dollar for dollar, and will directly, that's important, support the patients in need. Together, we're not just funding care, we're funding hope, healing, and transformation. And in that spirit, the courage to transform adversity into purpose is at the heart of our next story. Our keynote speaker tonight, Chad Van Eggs. He is a visionary entrepreneur, a storyteller, whose life took a profound turn after being diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. Told he might only have months to live, Chad chose courage over fear and transformation over limitation, devoting his life to what truly matters: purpose, connection, and living fully. His story captured the very essence of what it means to be a champion for change, to turn pain into purpose, to live every day with gratitude, and remind us that healing is about far more than survival. It's about awakening to life. Please join me in welcoming Chad Van Eggs.
Check. Hi.
How are you?
How are you? Check 1. Can I move this? Sick. Super sick. All right. My name's Chad Van Eggs. I'm here because... God damn it. I'm here because Naisha and Cindy and team believed in me more than I believed in myself for a long time. So obviously a lot of credit there. A lot obviously goes to my wife, but she's in the shit with you, so it's kind of like sometimes the outside helps quite a bit. Okay, is that a timer for 40 minutes? Yes. All right. So here's what we're going to be talking about: why your world isn't what you want it to be. And the asterisk is there because I don't know what your world is. Is it your financial world? Is it your relational world? Is it your marriage world? Same thing, same but different. Family world? What is the world not for you right now? What's going on with that, right? And then we're going to figure out how to change that. In marketing, that's called a big promise, right? So, how many of you here, I need some show of hands, how many of you here believe that your thoughts have some effect on your life? Literally everybody should have their hand up. I see. Okay. All right, good. I've already lost a minute. So here's my notes and disclaimers. 1, I didn't think I'd have to put this in because I thought I had it, but I may get emotional. It's not even on here because I thought I was going to be good. I use text and sentences on slides verbatim. You're like, God damn it, this is going to suck. I haven't tested the timing on this. That's kind of a joke. But don't worry, AV, I got you. Thanks for the 40 minutes. 38:42. I cuss. Sorry. Kidding, I'm not fucking sorry at all. All right. This is important to note. There's rarely ever absolutes in what I'm about to say. Okay? There's always nuance. This is my story. This is mine. This is my experience. Many of you will relate. Some of you won't. That's okay. Again, rarely ever absolutes, always nuance. Okay? I repeat things a lot. This is only the tip of the iceberg. Okay? What I'm going to talk about is just the tip of the iceberg. And I don't want you to be inspired. I'm tired of this inspiring shit for me. People say that to me. I want you to be actioned. I know it's important. It's the first step to action, right? I get it. But one of the things I get all the time is like, oh, you're so inspiring. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing about it? Go do something. Okay? All right. There's 209 slides in 40 minutes. We're going to fly. Buckle up. I'm not kidding. Here we go. Oh, yeah, let's go back a bit. Okay, here we go. Childhood, Kent, Ohio. If you ever heard of Kent State University, you know this place, right? Ford Dead in Ohio, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Pretty idyllic if you look at it. I then go to John Carroll University in Cleveland, Ohio. Also awesome. The winter sucks. Summers are amazing, right? I play soccer there. We're in the Hall of Fame. We're a really good team. It's like, oh, it's pretty sweet life. I go to Australia. I study abroad. Everything changes for me here. Everything changes for me. I'm losing time. All right. That bike ride changed everything for me. So I get back from there. I go, dude, I'm going to National Geographic. Nah, Discovery. I'm going to be like Anthony Bourdain. That's what I'm going to do. But first, I'm going to be a real estate millionaire. Freedom! Because that's what I want. I want freedom. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. And I know that money is the key, and real estate's where I'm going to do it. And then, I'm going to build the next Nat Geo or Discovery. So that's my career from 2005 to 2022. Okay? In between, right, I do some of the things that I'm supposed to be doing. I race a boat down the coast of Tanzania. It's awesome. Right? I then ride motorcycles across Mongolia, Russia, and Kazakhstan. Amazing. That's me. Right? So here's my career summary from 2005 to 2028. Anybody know what happened in 2008? Okay. So real estate, I was doing awesome, and then boom, 2008 hit, bankrupt, right? Then I got into startups, a few of them, my own, some I worked for others, failed. One took off. Of course, I didn't vest in when it took off. Turned into a $10 billion IPO, and I forgot to vest, meaning I quit early, meaning I don't give a fuck anyway. But here's the problem. There's no Nat Geo or Discovery or anywhere in here. What have I been doing? Okay? So what thoughts do you think I'm running through my mind from 2005 to 2022? You know what? I'm going to pause for it. Anybody want to shout one out? What do you think I'm thinking at that time? Okay, close. One more. Okay, big one. What's another one? Oh, man, nailed that one. The big one for me was disappointment. So what emotions am I creating with that? Oh, dude, it's just looping like a mofo, right? Boom, what do you know? Bam! My world, it's not what I want it to be. Okay? July 22 of 2022. Boom. Reality check. Okay? Lung tumor, 5 times the average. Bone, it's in the bones, it's in the lymph node, 30 lesions in my brain. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me, man. There's no way. Right? I got a 14% chance of living to 5 years. Look at me, the authentic me. National Geographic, Discovery, that's out the door, right? Oh, this is 14 months ago. I was on Tagrisso, it worked, and then boom, it didn't work. 14 months ago, I get on this. You can see the rash on my face, I still have it. 12 months ago, I have brain surgery. I get clots, one in my left calf, one in my right calf, one in my right forearm, pulmonary embolisms. 9 months ago, radiation. Right? 8 months ago, my lung collapses while I'm in Costa Rica. I take a 6-hour flight. My oxygen levels were at 84 on that flight. Not good. I actually got on the phone. I was on the phone with Naisha in Costa Rica. I didn't know what was happening. And I just remember yelling, I don't know what the fuck's wrong. I just need a fucking quarterback. And she's like, I have no idea what's happening either. It was a lung collapse, apparently. 6 months ago, I'm 140 pounds. I'm now up 40 pounds, so that's good. 3 days ago, that was just a surfing accident. We're good. But that was awesome. That's what I wanted to be doing, right? So the last 3 years, definitely not what I wanted my world to be. Oh, this is going to be good. I gave me that world. My thoughts did. And I'm looking for all the eye rolls. I can barely see because of lights. I'm looking for the big fuck yous from some of you, right? Well, give me 32 minutes and 46 seconds, right? Here's what my oncologist said. You're the unlucky 15%. And my response literally was, so is my healing based on luck? How many of you rely on luck? Do you rely on luck? No. So I call it like climbing trees. When I was a kid, I used to climb a ton of trees. And one, I climbed up real high, and I looked down at my dad, and I go, Dad, I can't get down. He goes, you got up there. You're getting down, man. And that's all I think about. So I'm asking you to believe what I'm about to do. I want you to just believe this for now, and just do it for me. After this, you can walk away and say, Chad's full of shit. I don't care, just for now. So here's some science. Yes, this is science. This is all backed. I got it somewhere. Don't worry. Right? You have 70,000 thoughts a day. 95% are the same. Leads to the same choices and behaviors, the same experiences, the same emotions, feelings, and your state of being, or your personality, or what we call your personal reality. Okay? So here's your daily routine. You get up, you hit the alarm, phone. 80% of you, by the way, check your phone first thing in the morning. 20% don't. Good for you. Actually, probably more in this room that doesn't, now that I think about it. You go to the bathroom, coffee, kids, spouse, email, meeting, Slack, dinner, mom, repeat. Sound familiar to a little bit of us? I hear some laughs, no hands, okay. So what that means, we have automatic subconscious what? Thoughts, behaviors, choices, experience, emotions, feelings, and an automatic state of being, or personality, or your personal reality, i.e. your fucking world. So what percentage is negative? Anyone want to throw a guess out? Someone throw a guess. What percentage of our thoughts are negative? That's pretty nice. Whoever said 90, you were dead. That's great. I like it. It was only 80%, so you did well. Okay? So here you go, Monday. You have 70,000 thoughts, boom, times 95%. That's 66,500. That means you're passing those on to Tuesday, and you only got 3,500 new ones. 3,500 new ones. Oh, we're back to 70,000. Let's do it again. Times 95%, 60. Oh, you see the pattern here, right? Same shit, different day. Okay, Monday. Here you go. So-and-so is an idiot. Oh, dumb drivers. Not you, by the way. Oh, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, annoying. I'm not good enough. Oh, I do love my dad. There's one. Okay, my kids, spouse sucked today. I want that person's life because I envy it. I hate work this month. I'm proud of that sourdough I just made. Okay, that client is a pain in the ass. Oh, well, multiply it times 95%. You got 9, 87. Okay, you're passing this all back on to every single day. So Monday becomes this and this and this. What does that remind you of? Oh, there it is, hamster wheel. So the first step in changing your world, remember, you define your world. Is it your money world? Is it your life world, your health world? Whatever world that is. But the first step in changing your world is to change your automatic thoughts. Okay? If you change your automatic thoughts, you change your choices, which changes your behavior, which changes the experience. And everything from an experience creates an emotion. When you have an experience, there's an emotion, right? Emotions and feelings. And all of a sudden, you change your state of being. You change your personality. You change your personality or personal reality. You change your world. And this is not about being a positive person. This is actually about rewiring your brain and chemistry, right? You can't just be positive all the time. That's great, but you actually got to rewire the brain so that you can change how you think, how you act, and how you feel, which means it's going to change who you are and your world. Okay, so psychoneuroimmunology, people in here probably know what that means. Every thought produces a biochemical reaction in the brain to allow the body to feel the way you were just thinking. Happy, inspiring, grateful, confident, energetic thoughts equal dopamine and oxytocin and serotonin and some more, I'm sure. I call that the happiness trifecta. When someone asks me, what do you look for every day? I go, I look for the fucking happiness trifecta now. Okay, I want dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. Here's the good news that you get in a day. You got good results. You hear something good about your kids. You got a promotion. And then you buy new shoes and boom, happiness trifecta, right? But then you have anger, disappointment, jealousy, and you're offended about something, right? Everybody's going to get offended about something. And then you're afraid of something. What does that create? Adrenaline, cortisol, and more. And then here's the daily events that happen. We go to work. We got to deal with our team, our managers, our colleagues, right? We have family we got to deal with. We have politics we got to deal with. We have other drivers, definitely not you, right? And then you go and you complain to your significant other, your family, and your friends, Okay? And what are you doing? All you're doing is just pumping adrenaline and cortisol. Okay? So you literally feel all of that, which turns into more thinking. Anybody know what I'm talking about? You think about something, then you feel it. Do you think a little more? Absolutely. So here we go. You think. Yeah, you feel it. Oh, but then you're going to think about it more. Then you're going to feel it more. Then you're going to think more. And you just keep going. And you tell me, what does that look like? Yes, it's a tornado. All that thinking and feeling. 80% of your thoughts are negative. So how many tornadoes are we creating here? But you repeat it so much, you create these new neural nets, right? And these new neural nets on repeat become automatic subconscious thoughts. And automatic subconscious thoughts turn into automatic subconscious choices, turn into behaviors, experiences, emotions, feelings, and can anybody guess? Your state of being, your personality, your personal reality, your world. So how in the world will you get the world that you want when you're always in this place? Okay? Monday, there's the hamster wheel. An opportunity, something hits you, but guess what? You're in that looping place, right? On whatever that thing is. Okay? Bounces right off. Same thing on Tuesday. Bounces right off. Bounces right off. So, heard of neuroplasticity? Yes? Yes? Okay. In the past, they say you're hardwired. Now it's obvious they say you can rewire. What do you know? So you learn something new, you modify the choice, you modify the behavior, you have a new experience with a new feeling, and you repeat, right? You learn sourdough baking. You practice that 100 times. You create new neural connections in the brain, you've rewired the brain, and what do you know? You keep going and doing more, and the repetition means that you fire, and then the deeper you wire, boom shakalaka. Right? You have new brain hardware. Purely because you learned something new, you decided to bake sourdough, you did it so many times, you thought about it, you repeated, you fired and wired new brain hardware, and next thing you know, you create new automation, and now you have a bakery. Okay? So new automation is either going to serve you or it's going to undermine you. But here's the thing, you can rewire without the physical act, right? So I just showed you a rewiring of the brain by physically making sourdough bread. But they did a study, right? I think it was 98. So they had a group number one, physically exercise their finger, right? Just physically exercise the finger for 1 hour a day for 4 weeks. Boom. 30% muscle increase. Not surprising, correct? Not surprising. Then they had study the group 2 mentally rehearsed exercising the finger for the same amount of time. I need to make this note. They mentally rehearsed. They didn't move the finger. And they had 22% muscle gain without ever lifting the finger. So they were able to rewire their brain by thinking, and they had physiological changes. Ellen Langer from Harvard did this very similar study on older men. I can't get into it. I don't have time. I'm running out. But if you know it, it's another one. Okay? So remember, 95% of thoughts are the same as yesterday. 80% are negative. We've already concluded that from some people. And they produce the chemicals that make us feel those thoughts. So the question I have for everybody here, what are you wiring in your world? Is it you have a team, your business, there's something. What are you wiring, right? What state of being are you automating in the business, in your health, in your life, in your relationship? What kind of personal world are you actually creating? But here's the thing, okay? Your body cannot tell if it's the past, present, or the future. And where do we spend most of our time thinking? What is it? Past. And the future. We spend our time in both places, never the present or rarely the present. So in 2008, real estate collapses and I have failed startups. What am I thinking? Repeating my mistakes. I'm getting adrenaline, cortisol. And so what I do is I start preparing for the future and saying, fuck, are the chemicals being triggered? I don't know this at the time, obviously, but I'm thinking about the future, like, am I repeating these mistakes? Because I could feel the experiences and I prepared for future mistakes even though the events weren't real yet. Is everybody following along so far? Okay. Then I think about Australia, Tanzania, Mongolia, things that I love, that I'm good at, that I'm like, dude, that's the happiness trifecta. I think about what I should be doing, right? And I'm sitting there and thinking, dude, I can do anything. I mean, I rode this, every time I talk to an Australian about where I rode, they're like, what the hell did you just do, right? I'm like, I don't know, I just did it. But here, when I feel this way, I'm going to go back, I can do anything. What type of thinking and feeling do I get there? Think, feel, think, feel, think, feel, think, feel, think, feel. Boom! Very different. Very different when I say to myself, I can do anything. Right? Study number 2. I think everybody knows this study. Sex, man. Right? You can literally think about this and get physiological changes. You literally are thinking about it, and all of a sudden things happen. I didn't get as many smirks and laughs as I thought I'd get on that one. Thank you. But that's the easiest one to think about, literally. Okay, so then we take another example. Your CMO, your CEO, your CX, whatever it is, your manager, family, significant other says, be better. You're not performing. Insert your trigger, right? Be better, anger. Then you think about the other day, more anger. Then you think about 3 months ago, anger, resentment, bitterness. Then you got the upcoming meeting. I'm already thinking about how I'm going to be angry about this because of what happened 3 days ago, the other day, and yesterday. And that's happening before you even had the conversation, right? So you're thinking and feeling today by recalling what happened in the past and then preparing for what might happen in the future. And what happens is a new physiological shift begins, right? Hundreds of thousands of years ago, right? We're aware of threats, predators, enemy tribes, food, all that. That triggers fight or flight. We all know fight or flight. That's the stress response, right? Stresses are different, though, today. Mortgages, family, traffic, career, politics, results. But the neurological and physiological response is the same exact thing as it happened back then. The sympathetic, right, reacts to stressful situations and danger, aka fight or flight. The parasympathetic, as we know, maintains homeostasis, the chemical balance for optimal performance, heart respiration, cell repair management, etc. Fight or flight is not homeostasis. We all know that. So once homeostasis is disrupted, the body wants to return, but we're so fucking smart. That's the problem, is the neocortex is so sophisticated. The grazing deer, right, when it's grazing and then it's threatened, it literally runs away. And then 5 minutes later, it's back to grazing because it's no longer threatened. But our neocortex is so good, right, that it can go into overdrive and trigger fight or flight response with one stray thought about the possibility of a stressor, as if it's happening right now. Hello, skinxiety. That shit sucks. Do you know how hard I've had to work to get out of that? 10 days from now. I already have it down. That's already how I'm thinking. You see what I got to work on? So if 95% of our thoughts are the same as yesterday and 80% are negative, and we're producing the chemicals to feel the way we think, the stress response stays activated and homeostasis isn't static. It adjusts. Am I right on that? Okay. So let's call it 0, right? It adjusts. All of a sudden, 5 is now the new 0. But guess what? A new homeostasis normal is still out of balance. Okay? It's an internal tornado. And that tornado it means to shelter, not to maintain, not to repair, and definitely not time to build. There's no creating, no recovery, no restoring the mind and the body, no space for the world that you want. New homeostasis normal means you're building, creating, producing, maintaining in that tornado. Okay? Everything suffers. Work, relationships, the immune system, your world suffers. Whatever you want that world to be. And that fight or flight is going to halt all that repair. It's going to be unable to fight the invaders, bacteria, viruses, immune-related illnesses, and it's unable to detect early tumor cells. So now you're like, what the fuck? Let's bring this back, Chad. Okay, well, I'm going to connect it back to the thoughts that gave me this world. Now, I'll get to that in a second, but here we go. First job, dude. I was thriving, but I was like, this is my life. This is pathetic. This is disappointing. Real estate, survive. Yeah, you can do this. I want you to count how many blue thoughts and emotions I had compared to green. Okay? Real estate, dude, I'm crushing. I'm gonna be free soon. I'll be doing National Geographic, all that stuff. I can do anything. And then the recession. And then I had to be a bartender. Then I had a failed startup, a second failed startup. Then I'm in Tanzania, and I'm like, this is authentic to me. I'm stoked. I'm proud. This is like what I should be doing. I'm fully alive. Forced job 1, forced job 2. Then I'm back to Mongolia, right? And I want you to just look at blue are the thoughts that aren't serving me. Green are the ones that are serving me. We saw the disparity, right? You saw the difference? There's more blue than green. So here, I have an experience. I have thoughts about the experience. I have feelings, right? I start thinking about it more. I feel it. I think it. I feel it. I produce chemicals. I wire and fire. I keep it going in my head. I'm looping, right? Subconscious and automatic state of being. AKA, I'm in a new homeostasis normal. Right? I'm no longer at homeostasis 0. I've created homeostasis normal of 5 or 10, whatever the number was. I'm making this up. But I was basically building this in a tornado for years. So how is handling stress and cell repair going to happen? Right? That means it's a compromised immune system, missed tumor cells. Now, this is the first question. Is it all bullshit? I don't care if you think it's bullshit, because this is how I am going through it. Because I can tell you right now, it comes back to this idea of climbing trees. When someone tells you you're the unlucky 15% and you don't believe in luck, if you can get yourself out of the tree, if you get yourself in the tree, you should be able to get yourself out of it. And I do all the things, right? I do all the things. But the number one thing for me is understanding how my thoughts affect the chemical structure of my body, so that when I do the supplements and all the things on this metabolic side, it actually does something instead of fighting against it. So coming back to it, what does this have to do with my world wasn't or isn't what I want it to be? That was the title of the slide. Like, what does it have to do with that? Well, it's your fucking state of being, right? It's who you are. It's your personality. And it's become your personal reality. And therefore, it's your world. All of which originates with how you think. So you change how you think, you change your choices. That means you change how you act and behave. That means you change how you feel, because in there you're going to have experiences that create a different feeling than the same ones you've had the day before and the day before and the day before and the day before. Okay? And therefore you change your state of being, and you change your world. So, how do we actually change how we think? This is important, but exogenous. Exercise, cold plunges, nutrition, supplements, psychedelics. I've done them all. I still do them all, right? Although cold plunges, I don't have that anymore. I wish I did. Like, I don't even know. Does that even help anymore? Like, people said it does. I don't even know, right? These are all important. I do them. Especially that metabolically elite margarita I had with Steve last week. That one was definitely a part of the protocol. But here's what's permanent. I call it mental work, okay? I call it mental work. You might hear it as meditation, right? It's not that, like, that's not it for me, that meditation. It is meditation, but it's a different description for everybody. I call it self-directed neuroplasticity, because neuroplasticity means you can change your brain, and I'm self-directing my changes in my brain, okay? So how do you do it? Well, one, if you know anything about brain waves, you got beta, alpha, theta, delta. Beta is when we're having a conversation talking about something interesting, right? Alpha is when you're sitting back, relaxed. You are all basically in alpha right now, okay? Theta is that moment right before you fall asleep. That's the fun place. That's that like lucid state that you can get to, right? Delta is when you're fully asleep. So this is how I do it, right? I have to do the shutdown. It's so hard. I used to suck at it. Now I can do it in 3 minutes. Basically shut myself down. If you've ever done meditation, anybody who's done meditation, you know that the minute you try, right? You're just bouncing around. You got things you got to do, things you got to do, things you got to do, things you got to do. And then eventually you might get there. But I can get there pretty fast now. It used to take me 20 minutes. Now it takes me like 3. And I call the second part the shit, where you're actually dealing with the shit. Because now you've accessed the subconscious mind, right? Now you've accessed the place in the mind where all these neural nets are programmed and automated. Think about driving. I need you to think about driving. When you first started learning driving, at like 15, 16, you had to learn all that stuff. Now you drive, and you probably don't even realize you're turning the turn signal on, right? That's the subconscious controlling things. So I sit in the shit, and I sit there. What thoughts are not serving me? What thoughts are holding me back? Cool. Well, step 3 is the switch. I found the thought that needs to be changed out, and I change it with this thought. And so I switch it, and I sit there, and I work on it, and I work on it, and I work on it. And then, dude, I call step 4 the show, right? All of a sudden, it's like, oh, shit, I might actually believe this. Bam! There's fireworks again. Okay? So here's examples, because everybody's like, well, I want examples. So here we go. There's hundreds, but here are the ones that really stood out. And I want you, as I put these examples up here, I want you to think about the chemicals that are being created in my body when I have these thoughts. I can't get ahead. Think about it. You don't have to say it. I got 9 minutes left, so think about that. I can't get ahead. But then I change it to, I'm right where I need to be. Well, I can't get ahead. Well, that's career stress, adrenaline and cortisol. I'm right where I need to be. Well, I'm content. There's the happiness trifecta. I'm disappointed in my career. By the way, these are all real thoughts I was having in the last 3 years. And I had to sit down and I had to fix. And I changed them. I'm disappointed in my career. What do you think? Well, there's the disappointment, adrenaline and cortisol. Well, what if this is my real career? Well, that's purpose, right? There's a happiness trifecta. I must rely on the doctors, right? I'm out of control. I don't have control. Guess what? I am the fucking doctor, okay? Confidence. I didn't have this confidence when I was on the phone with Nisha and Cindy. Man, I didn't have that. The medication is running out. Well, my body has the medication. Oh, that one I fucked up. All right. The statistics are not good. Out of control. Adrenaline. I am the outlier. Belief in self. Scans give me permission to live. Same, right? Scanxiety. Well, belief in self. Okay. I'm changing these thoughts. I work on these every day. I don't know if I can do it. Insecurity. I believe in me. Belief in self. I wasted my time on earth, right? Grief. Fuck, that sucks. Just even reading that sucks. I was born for this shit, right? How different do you think that is? I literally said it out loud. I waste my time on earth. I felt the crying starting, and then I was like, I was fucking born for this shit. I could feel the pickup immediately. All by changing that thought that was on the screen. I want the easy button to die. Last fall, I wanted to die. I was done. I had it approved. I had everything. I was ready to go. I was ready to be done. I couldn't do it anymore. I was in so much pain. I had no hope. And then I'm on a plane to Sedona on the way to Phoenix. I remember sitting there. And I got into that theta state, and I was sitting there. I was like, what is not serving me right now? And it was, I want the easy button. I'm over this shit. God. Sorry, I didn't put this disclaimer up on the first slide. I want the easy button. And I sat there, and I was like, well, what's opposite? I was like, oh, I want to endure this. And I literally said to myself, I was like, you're a fucking liar. You don't want this. You don't want to endure. And I sat there and I was like, I'm just going to keep saying it over and over and over. I said it 100 times, literally to myself. I want to endure this. I want to endure this. I want to endure this. I did not believe it. And then the 100th time, it was like, boom. It was literally like the fireworks. That's why I put them in there. It's because of this one. I literally felt the fireworks. That's the only reason I've endured this bullshit. It's because I said to myself, I want to. With all the other ones, obviously. And then another one. So look at that, confident belief. I feel it now. Cancer has imprisoned me. This is bullshit. For someone who wants to be free, I think it's the fucking dumbest shit I've ever... Oh, God. It's like, how is this not fixed? This is dumb. I literally hate it. And then when I switched and I was like, well, maybe it's actually freed me. I don't have to be in tech anymore. I don't need to do real estate. I don't need to do all that shit, you know? Now I actually have a mission maybe, okay? So it's freed me. But I had to sit and I had to think on all these shitty thoughts and change them to the thoughts that would actually serve, not just me, but others, right? And here's the thing, you got to feel those emotions before it happens, because you think this shit just is like going to show up after you sit and think on it? No. So I have to practice this. So I feel the emotions before it happens. Deep, authentic gratitude for all of that. So I want you to think about this. Here you are today. You're at the start. There's the world you want, number 2. Okay? And then you're going to get that feeling from whatever that ideal world is, number 3. But guess what? It's going to happen. If you're thinking, I was like, I'm going to feel this way I'm going to feel 3 once I feel 2. Or once I see 2. How long is it going to take? 2 weeks? 2 months? 2 years? 2 decades? I don't know. And what do? You sit on this hamster wheel trying to feel that one thing that's so far off. Could be far off. Now for me, that was real estate, startups, tech. I was trying to get to the end of that road, while the entire time I was looking at a different road. I just wanted to be on the other road. Had I been on the other road with Nat Geo, I had a chance to work for Nat Geo, but they're going to pay me $30,000 to be an assistant, and I just sold $10 million in real estate. I was like, that makes no financial sense to me. But I now look at that and I say, had I been on that road, I might not have the money, but my God, I'm in a maze. If you've ever done a maze is fun. You hit all the roadblocks, you hit all these bumps, but guess what? You're in a maze, dude. Mazes are sick, right? So I'm going to have that feeling. I would have had the feeling, but I might not have gotten the world I wanted, but I have the feeling. I still don't get the world, but well, you know what? This time I have it, right? That time I don't. This time I have it. And maybe, just maybe, I can get to no evidence of disease. But guess what? I feel that shit now. I already have no evidence of disease. Okay? I got 3 minutes. As you can tell, I still struggle, right? And I have plenty of tough days. But how am I able to even do this? You saw what my last 12 months were. It's because every single day I rewire every time. I literally get up first 4 in the morning. I'm not saying you have to do this. Obviously, it's like, yeah, it's changed my life. But I rewire my brain daily. So just imagine what you can do. You don't have to deal with that. You know, maybe you do. I don't know. But like, that's what I'm saying. So steps to being the world you want. 1, I just want you to write down 3 things you're proud of and what that made you feel. That's literally it, right now. Not right now, but tonight. Write down 3 things that you're proud of and what you feel from that. Remind yourself of those things, because 80% of negative thoughts, I heard 90, but it's 80, that's a shit ton of negativity. And then step 2, write down 3 good and 3 bad emotions. First the emotions, and then the thoughts that triggered them. You have to become aware of that before that happens. And then, if you're into it, use self-directed neuroplasticity to break the neural pathways that keep you stuck in this current world that you're in. You want to change your world, but you're trying to make it, you're trying to change it while you're in some kind of tornado. And most of you don't even know you're in the fucking tornado. Excuse my F-bombs. I thought I was going to be really good at, not that many. Look, metabolically elite is very important. I had a whole website. I was like, I'm going to be metabolically elite. And I did all these things. I take 37,000 pills and do all that. And it is important. I do it still. I still take 37 pills. Right? But your inner state is what changes the world. It changes your world. Because all those pills do nothing if you're producing adrenaline and cortisol from all the way you're thinking. Right? Thinking, feeling. Your choice. It's your choice on how you want to think. That's how I choose to be. It's hard for me. But if it wasn't for the way that I learned how to do self-directed neuroplasticity, there's no way I'd be able to handle the bullshit that came. So I'm asking you, I'm just imploring you to think about how you think. AKA metacognition. Thinking about thoughts. That's what I'm imploring you to do. Okay? It's the real title. You! It's you! You are the world you want it to be. That's all on you. That world out there is not going to do shit. You all know this. But your interstate, that's what's going to change your world, and most importantly, the world around you for others. That's what this is all about. That's what Nations does. That's what it's about others. But you can't serve others if you aren't doing it right for yourself. Okay? So with 5 seconds left, yes, I do speaking podcasting. I'm getting into self-directed neuroplasticity training. I trained a YPO group. If you know YPO, I'm training a YPO group soon. Look, if anybody here has a company, this is me trying to find and go do my mission. If anybody here needs for their company self-directed neuroplasticity training, if we do that, I will give 50% of whatever we do to Nate the MTIH. Okay? I couldn't even remember. Yes, I did it. I got it right. All right. I will be here to talk and whatever. And I guess what? I'm doing a TV show. That's my Nat Geo. It actually is happening. Okay? All right. Thank you. And I guess I'm supposed to announce.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Oh my God, can you imagine if he spoke at every school? Can you even imagine that? That knowledge and that charisma. Wow. Incredible. Infectious stuff. Thanks again, Chad. Now we are honored to welcome Cindy Kennedy, who I met with Naisha and I consider a friend. She is the co-founder of the Metabolic Institute of Health. Cindy's passion for this work is deeply personal and rooted in the inspiring journey of Phoenix and Ulsick, a young cancer survivor whose story embodies hope, courage, and the power of integrative care. Cindy, do you want to take the stage? Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, man. Chad, did you steal the clicker? Oh, thank you. So here's what I'm thinking and feeling. I should have gone before Chad because I cannot meet that energy for sure. And that's how I feel like rejuvenated. So a couple of things that Chad did not say in that, and I didn't get his permission to talk about it tonight, but we met Chad February 2024 at the Metabolic Health Summit. I think a lot of you were there. And Chad that morning had gotten scans that were not good. And so he presented at that summit. And I think it might have been Naisha that did hey, everybody kind of stand up like we did yesterday. Stand up if you've had cancer and stand up if you're still surviving. And at that moment, Chad was feeling defeated. And there was a lot of you in this audience that were still standing, showing that you can survive this. So after we left that event, I got on the call with Chad and his wife, beautiful wife, Stacy. And I said, there's all these things. And he said, you mean I can live? And I was like, I don't know if you can. That's up to you. That's your journey, that's your choice. And I think he's proven to us tonight, because that was almost 2 years ago that he made the conscious choice to stay here. When he talks about that he had made the choice and said, I don't know if I can stand this, he called me. I'll never forget, it was a Saturday morning. He sends me a text message. He says, hey, can you talk? I said, yeah, sure. So I get on the phone with him, and he said something that I never expected to hear. And he said, I think it's time. I think it's time for me to say goodbye. And we had a conversation, and I hung up with him, and I looked at my husband, and I said, when I got into this, I never thought that I would ever be having that kind of conversation. But he obviously wasn't ready, and he's here to inspire all of us and to keep teaching us And I so appreciate him for that. And I so appreciate him taking the time tonight to be here. And Chad obviously has his why. And we had a lot of conversations about what he thought he was going to do and what he thought he wanted to be and what he thought his life was going to be like. And we all have our why. We are in here tonight because we have our why. What drove our why? We heard from John Frieda earlier, and he's talking about all of the things that he's been through. And I just have to point out Laurie Bouchard, who has been, an amazing doctor to him and has been a confidant in him. And, he has talked a lot about the things that he has needed to support him and where he is going. And there's so many of us in here. Lori is here because she has a why. She wants to serve. There's so many doctors and practitioners and clinicians in here that have a why. And my why, I will say, I have children and I have grandchildren, and they are absolutely 1,000% my why. But I have another why, and that is over here. Phoenix Handalsic, who... Phoenix, can you please stand? So there's a picture of Jason, her dad. So Jason and I went to high school together, and me and my husband and Nicole, Phoenix's mom, and Phoenix's brother, and Phoenix is just... I was going through my own personal health journeys, and me and my husband, I think we were in Seattle at the time. My husband's from Seattle, and they were living in Seattle at the time, and Phoenix was diagnosed with brain cancer. Well, she was diagnosed with a cartilage cancer, but it was in her brain. And she was 10 years old. So can you imagine as a mom? I'm a mom. I would do anything for my children. And here she is diagnosed with such a rare brain cancer. There wasn't a lot of options. They didn't exactly know what to do with this. And yet you're a parent, and what do you do? So I kind of have to talk a little bit about Nicole, mom. Trusting her gut, trusting her intuition. I remember at the time, so this was, I guess, 8 years ago. Phoenix, you're 18. 8 years ago, and I had never dealt with anything like that. I was dealing with my own health things, and yes, my children had health things, but they didn't have cancer. And her mom, Nicole, knew in her gut. She listened to her gut. She knew in her gut that what she was being told and the options for her were not enough and were not the answer. And so she reached out to anybody that would listen because she needed to find answers for her child. And I happened to be there at that moment. Not just me, but Tabitha. I want to talk about Tabitha, who is sitting here as well. We were just all family and friends that said, all right, how can we help? What can we do? I knew some stuff, but we all just kind of started researching and said, what is it? What can we do? And I don't know if Chilla is here. That's where we met Chad, is at Chilla and Dom's conference. They were putting education out there about different things that you could do for cancer. And so we're all just digging in and trying to find answers. And I will say this, everybody talks about the metabolic approach to cancer and the work that Dr. Nasha has done. And what I always say is, you read her book, and it's like what's speaking to our gut. You read the book, and you're like, well, yeah, no shit. Yeah, that's so intuitive. It just speaks to you. So that's why it makes sense for all of us. The work that, what she has put together and what we were all doing, it just makes sense. It just needs to get out there to more people. So can you imagine, as a mom, you have a 10-year-old daughter who has to go through this terrible, she has to she has to get surgery, go through this different treatment. You don't know. Is she going to live? Is she not going to live? I don't know. It's just an absolutely terrifying thing to have happen. So they moved from Seattle. Nicole said, all right, we need support. We need family. We need to move where she is because that's not the answer. We need to move to Colorado. She moves to Tabitha's house, which is coincidentally like 3 miles from my house, completely coincidental. And we're experimenting. We're experimenting with a 10-year-old. We don't know what we're doing. We're just doing things. And we're tying her down as we're like jabbing her with ketone sticks, trying to make sure she was in ketosis. I asked Phoenix last night if she hated me. She's like, I didn't really like you. But sorry, we, at that time, ketone strips were $8 a strip. Thanks to Keto Mojo, they're a lot cheaper now. But at that time, yeah, we were doing all of the things. We're doing anything that we can, but we didn't know if what we were doing was actually making a difference. And then we heard about Nasha. We got Phoenix into St. Nasha. And today, well, we know, Phoenix graduated. She's now going to college. She's going to teach children. She's going to teach children about eating healthy, doing all of the things, doing all of the, mental, emotional things, being healthy. Yeah, it's truly, 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 truly. They say that miracle or radical remission. It's not, there's the power of prayer. There's the power of all of us coming together. There's the power of the mind. It's a lot of things. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of these things cost a lot of money, and none of them are paid for by insurance. So if you are a practitioner or advocate, probably even if you're not, you have had to have the conversation with somebody about why this costs money, why this isn't paid for by insurance. And unfortunately, that's just the system that we live in right now. So there are so many phoenixes. Unfortunately, if you were watching the reels earlier, we see Zuza, who we lost in the last 2 weeks. Zuza has been a member of our community for 11 years. Zuza was diagnosed at 3 years old with cancer, and her mom is one of our clinicians and has done absolutely everything. And I'm sure that it has financially disrupted, their lives. But when you're a parent, you will do anything. Or when you have a loved one, you will do anything. So I originally started this nonprofit to be able to provide income for individuals who were pursuing treatment outside of standard of care. And I will say what they normally say is pursuing alternative treatment. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Why is it alternative? It should be standard of care. It's absolutely criminal that it's called alternative, because it should be covered by insurance. It's not. I'm hoping that we fix that. I'm hoping, I had a podcast this morning with Dr. Goodyear, and he said, what is your goal of all of this? Where do you want to be? And I said, my goal of all of this is that this becomes the standard of care in 3 years, 5 years. I don't know, but today it's not. And at the nonprofit organization at MTIH, every day we get people asking for help for this type of care. And so that's why tonight we're going to get to the dancing, because that's the important part. But that's why tonight we are here and we are having these conversations with you, because it so matters, and there's so many people that access to this type of treatment. There's so many practitioners, providers, advocates here, sitting here, that are willing to help individuals, but it's not free. It's not covered by insurance. So I want to thank all of you for being here. And I really, really, really want to give a huge shout out to my team. Lynn Hughes. Where is Lynn? I'm going to make you stand up. Stand up. So for those of you who do not know how much work Lynn has done for this event, it's impressive. Jessica Gilman, please stand up. Thank you. Kyla, yes, stand up. Thank you. Alex. Do I have Donna and Jenny in the room? I know, they're probably hiding out somewhere. We're a very small team, and everybody has put their heart and soul into making this event happen. I mean, obviously we know myself, Janet, Naisha, we've done so much, but these are the guys that are making everything happen. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And now we should bring on the band. Thank you all for being here. Sorry, Pam. Yes, thank you, Pam. All right, band time.
Okay, guys, we thought we had another speaker, but we don't. You just got me, so sorry about that. Well, what an evening. I'm not going to go on and on. I think we can all agree that the team, albeit small, I think it was Perry this afternoon who mentioned the butterfly effect. Well, this small team here could literally change the face of cancer on this planet, and we know it affects every single human being alive today. So please donate. Like I said earlier, the British don't like talking about money, but please don't try and donate so we can get 75 families handheld through this horrific journey that is cancer. And I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I've come all the way from the UK. I believe in this. I absolutely know that this is the right path to take. And Naisha, team, everyone, and Steve, right there. Congratulations. What an event. What a team. What a movement. And praise be. Thank you very much for giving us all hope. Congratulations, everyone. Take it away, band.